In Narragansett, a fight between teenagers ends with Paul Sparling dead. Shane Martin shoulders the blame while Oliver St. Ledger escapes consequences, protected by his wealthy father. 16 years later, Shane's sister Megan, now going by Ciara, plots revenge by drawing Oliver back into her life but unexpectedly falls for him. Linus Finch is blamed. Detectives Lee Reardon and Carl Connolly find themselves dodging danger. Ultimately, at a remote airstrip, Oliver faces a decision that changes everything. Season 1 explodes into action late at night in Boston's Seaport, inside a sleek high-rise. A masked figure slips into Unit 11, not breaking in or stealing, but moving with clear intent. He heads straight to the bathroom, where a decomposed body sits in a tub, now mostly bones in a pool of black sludge. He quickly snaps a photo, then at exactly 5:38 a.m., he pulls the fire alarm and vanishes. As the alarm is reset and glass crunches underfoot, the scene rewinds through a quick montage of the previous 56 days, hinting at a thrilling, dangerous romance to come. Cut to Ciara Wise waking up in her small, cluttered apartment, still trying to get her life together. She grabs her NASA tote bag and heads out for groceries. That's when Oliver Kennedy notices her. He stares a bit too long, then calls out, "Hey NASA," trying to be smooth. They hit it off instantly, bonding over their love for space, sharing coffee, swapping numbers, and planning to watch an Apollo 11 documentary. But as Ciara walks away, Oliver's lingering look is intense, maybe even a little unsettling. Meanwhile, detectives Lee Reardon and Carl Connolly arrive at the scene in Unit 11. The property manager, Kevin Sullivan, is clueless about the tenant. Lee warns Carl about the smell inside, comparing it to a skunk. Just as they step in, Carl's phone buzzes with a viral TikTok about his gun, a reminder that life's distractions don't stop for crime scenes. They put on gloves and head inside, noticing evidence of 2 people, women's belongings, a green coat, matches, and a phone. No one knows who the victim is or who lived there. The case is a complete mystery. Flashing back, Oliver gets ready in his immaculate apartment, while Ciara navigates her chaotic one. Oliver receives a Boston driver's license under a new name, tossing his old San Francisco ID. At a secret bar, he pretends it's his first time, but a waitress calls him out. Ciara admits she hates secrets and wants honesty, which rattles Oliver. He sneaks away to leave a tense voicemail for Dan from Troxler Psychotherapy, hinting at repeating old patterns. A red-haired woman overhears. The night ends with a passionate kiss, but tension lingers beneath the surface. Later, Oliver tries to firm up their Apollo 11 date, but is thrown off when he sees the redhead, Jane, speaking to his boss. During the film, he laughs at a crash scene, unsettling Ciara. To lighten the mood, he takes her to a construction site where they joke around in front of a giant fan, recreating the Titanic pose. They end up back at his place and sleep together for the first time. Ciara notices a scar on his ribs, but Oliver brushes it off. That night, she finds him awake and stretching, blaming insomnia. The next morning, as Ciara leaves, Jane stops her. "He's not who you think he is," she warns. Ciara brushes her off but secretly snaps Jane's photo. Back home, Ciara's true motives emerge. She keeps a detailed notebook cataloging everything about Oliver: his business card, a photo of his safe, a discarded syringe, Jane's name. She's been secretly investigating him from the start. Back to the first day, Ciara rehearses a fake story about her father's military service, surrounded by forged company IDs and scissors on her bed. She puts on her jacket and heads to the supermarket, setting up her supposedly chance meeting with Oliver. Suddenly, it's unclear who's hunting whom, or who's actually in control. Detectives Lee Reardon and Carl Connolly are back at the luxury apartment, still trying to figure out who died in the bathtub and who actually lives there. The atmosphere is cold and unsettling, and Lee isn't herself. She's distracted, losing focus, and Carl can't help but notice. At first, he tries to ignore it, chalking it up to stress from the murder investigation, but soon he realizes something else is going on. While following up on a lead, Carl spots Lee with a man in a parked car. They're close, and it doesn't look like police business. Suspicion hits him hard. Lee is hiding something. Now he's balancing the murder investigation with growing doubts about his own partner. Meanwhile, Oliver and Ciara's relationship heats up quickly. Within days, they're inseparable, diving into a passionate, intense romance and ignoring every reason to slow down. Ciara keeps her true identity secret but starts prying into Oliver's background. He keeps things vague, especially about his family and his dad. Despite the secrets and lies, their connection is real, messy, and risky, and neither knows where it's headed. Elliot Burhane storms out, warning Detective Lee Reardon to steer clear of Ollie. Lee's suspicion is confirmed. Oliver is alive, and someone powerful is helping him disappear. Back at the station, Lee and Carl Connolly review evidence. While scanning Seaport District CCTV, Carl spots the masked figure who pulled the fire alarm. Another angle reveals Oliver slipping into a car with Ciara about a month earlier. They question building manager Kevin Sullivan, who insists he's never seen Oliver, but Carl notices Kevin is wearing the same pants as the masked man. When Kevin nervously tugs his pants leg down, Carl's doubts intensify. Meanwhile, Chief Cami Russo announces that Elliot has filed a lawsuit against Carl, but Russo is more concerned with Lee's ties to Linus Finch, showing her photos of Linus in Lee's car from a month ago. Lee offers no explanation. Later, Lee goes through trash from the crime scene and finds a letter addressed to Oliver St. Ledger. Separately, Russo informs Carl that Linus comes from wealth and has a criminal history, including a cocaine possession arrest. When Carl confronts Lee, she cryptically admits that Linus will never forgive me and begs Carl for a day to fix things. Carl reluctantly agrees. Then comes the big reveal. Oliver isn't just anyone, he's Casper St. Ledger's son, a billionaire venture capitalist from Narragansett, Rhode Island. Oliver disappeared after dodging a first-degree murder charge, has a habit of changing his name, and is known to police as the Narrow River Killer. Flashbacks show things unraveling between Ciara and Oliver. On day 11, Ciara confronts Oliver about the propofol she found. He claims it's for his severe insomnia. While he's distracted, Ciara memorizes his phone password. On day 12, she leads Oliver to her supposed office, spinning a fake job story and sneaking past security, proving she never really worked there. She confides in her sister Shyla, admitting she's after St. Ledger's money, which freaks Shyla out. At work, Elliot showers Oliver with praise and lets him leave early. Oliver tries to surprise Ciara at her fake office, but she's not there. Ciara panics, rushes back, and falls in the lobby. Oliver tries to lighten things up and drives her home in Elliot's car, hinting that Elliot may have had feelings for his father. By day 16, Oliver is unraveling, sleepless, hallucinating, and begging his psychiatrist for more medication. He claims he's being stalked and lies about Ciara's involvement. Meanwhile, Ciara digs through Oliver's mail and tries to withdraw $10,000 from his accounts by impersonating his mother, but the attempt fails and alerts his real mom. She tries to break into his safe but is caught hiding in the closet when Oliver comes home. Despite being caught, Ciara calms the situation by undressing and slipping into the bathroom. In the present, the truth is out. Oliver is Casper St. Ledger's son and the infamous Narrow River Killer. The story flashes to Narragansett, connecting all the dots. In the past, things between Oliver and Ciara turn dangerous, with Oliver's dark past threatening to erupt into the present. It's the weekend, and Oliver returns from therapy with Dan to find Ciara casually hanging out in his closet, wearing his shirt like it's no big deal. She plays it cool, shrugging off the surprise. Oliver barely blinks. He just points out the safe isn't his and heads off to work, leaving his laptop behind. That's all Ciara needs. She jumps on the chance, logs into his Swiss bank account, and sends $100,000 to something called the Narrow River Memorial Fund. The money won't go through for a couple of weeks, but for Ciara, it's a win, a key part of her plan coming together. Meanwhile, Jane is watching Oliver closer than ever, snapping pictures of him at the gym and making him more and more paranoid. Ciara tells her sister Shyla that she's got the money, but she's not leaving yet. The catch: she's actually starting to enjoy being with Oliver, even if her mission isn't over. Oliver's nerves are shot and he finally sees Jane lurking in his building. He tries calling the number she left him, but he chickens out and hangs up. Instead, he decides to follow her, tracking her to apartment 7. When Jane notices, she makes a run for it, leading to a frantic chase through the building. She just manages to get away, but Oliver is furious. He finds her blue Fiat in the garage and smashes it up. Kevin, the building manager, catches him but doesn't seem to care. Kevin offers to wipe the CCTV footage for a bribe, and Oliver pays up. Then, in a bizarre twist, he pays Kevin extra to punch him, maybe for a cover story, maybe just to punish himself. Later, Ciara shows up at Oliver's office with lunch and tries to get Elliot to spill about Oliver's past. Elliot isn't talking. When he calls Oliver, he finds him at home, still raging about Jane. Oliver vents to Dan on the phone, loud enough for Ciara to overhear. She ends the call and it sparks a fight. Oliver snaps, calling her pushy and insecure, and storms out to confront Jane. He threatens her, and Jane admits she's a journalist digging into his history, which just ramps up his paranoia. Back home, Ciara flips through their photos. Oliver comes around and apologizes, and they make up. Ciara confesses she tried to open his safe, claiming she just wanted to get to know him better. Mid-conversation, Oliver blacks out and is trapped in a terrifying dream, drowning while someone looks on. On the investigation front, detectives Lee Reardon and Carl Connolly are connecting the dots on the St. Ledger family's cover-up. Every trace of a murder from 16 years ago is gone. The rumor is Oliver killed his prep school classmate Paul Sparling, but his friend Shane Martin took the blame. The detectives call the number from Oliver's place. It's Jane's. The autopsy shows the body in the tub is a woman. They also find the report about Jane's vandalized Fiat, the same one Oliver wrecked, right there in the Seaport garage, because Jane lives in apartment 7. Carl notices the garage CCTV footage is missing. He corners Kevin, who basically admits to pulling the fire alarm and deleting the footage. Meanwhile, Lee struggles with the rules and won't enter Jane's apartment without a warrant. Carl's personal life is falling apart. His son Aaron gets suspended, his ex is drinking again, and Carl finally says he's quitting the force. Lee, feeling the heat, confesses about Linus Finch. It turns out Finch was once a suspect in a shooting and tried to bribe her. She accepted some expensive gifts but didn't follow up, until now when he reappears in Seaport, maybe connected to Oliver. Carl is clearly disappointed. The detectives finally get their warrant for Jane's place. It's empty, but they make a huge discovery. Both Jane's and Oliver's apartments are owned by Elliot Burhane. The investigation is spiraling, with more secrets, surveillance, and powerful people pulling strings. It feels like everything is about to explode. Day 32, St. Patrick's Day. Ciara wants to celebrate, convincing Oliver to join her in sampling Dan's edibles. Oliver hesitates. He usually sticks to microdosing for his anxiety, but Ciara's energy sweeps him up. Soon they're both high, wandering through the parade, carefree and laughing. For a brief moment, everything feels simple. Meanwhile, Shyla, far away, gets a notification. $100,000 just landed in her account. Their plan has succeeded. Later that night, Ciara and Oliver are still feeling the effects when they run into Elliot, who invites them for a drink. He's with Jane and his wife, Allison. The atmosphere shifts. Oliver learns that Jane once waylaid Elliot out of a bad situation, and now she's staying in his spare apartment while working on a story. The realization unsettles Oliver. He pulls Elliot aside and warns him that Jane is targeting him. At the table, Allison and Jane try to alert Ciara, but she brushes it off, claiming she already knows everything about Oliver. Jane watches Ciara closely, then suggests Ciara get Oliver to agree to an exclusive interview, promising he'll have control of the story. Ciara's phone buzzes. Shyla. Ciara slips away to the bathroom to take the call. Shyla wants answers. Ciara confesses, almost under her breath, that she might be falling for Oliver. Shyla is immediately disgusted and hangs up. Jane, who's been listening in, confronts Ciara and blackmails her, demanding Ciara participate in a fake interview posing as one of Oliver's victims. The confrontation escalates until Ciara threatens Jane physically. Outside, Oliver is having a panic attack. Ciara finds him, helps him calm down, grounding him with brown noise and simple sensory cues. While he's still out of it, she admits her own secret. She was connected to the Narrow River murder. She says she could have understood Oliver, maybe even loved him if he'd only trusted her. When Oliver comes to, Ciara is gone. Present day, detectives Lee Reardon and Carl Connolly search Jane's apartment, finding walls covered with research about Oliver St. Ledger. Jane arrives, unharmed, so she's not the body in the tub. She explains she's been investigating Oliver, trying to scare him into sharing his story. Jane exposes Ciara as a con artist and suggests that Oliver killed Ciara after she uncovered his secret. Jane also hints at Oliver's involvement in Allison's death. Chief Russo wants news about Linus Finch, but Carl quietly covers for Lee. While reviewing Jane's files, Carl finds blueprints of Oliver's apartment and a photo of the bathtub. It clicks. Jane was the masked figure who set off the fire alarm. Oliver, desperate to find Ciara, encounters Allison. Their long-standing resentments erupt. Allison accuses Oliver and his father of exploiting Elliot. Oliver accuses her of being jealous. She storms off. Oliver follows, and in the chaos, Allison steps into traffic and is struck by a truck. Jane witnesses the scene and convinces herself that Oliver pushed Allison. Ciara, shaken, goes home to pack and texts Shyla, but Shyla ignores her and leaves for Boston. Back in the present, Jane is arrested for breaking and entering. The autopsy reveals a surprise. The body in the tub might be male, appending the case. Somewhere else, Lee drives off with Linus Finch, her secrets unresolved. Back in the past, Ciara is about to leave when Oliver appears. He promises he's finally ready to reveal everything. In flashbacks, Oliver's haunted by guilt over Paul's death, the boy he killed and can't forget. Therapy with Dan Troxler has become a nightmare. Dan's relentless, pushing Oliver to confess, making him relive everything. But Dan's not just after the truth. He's using Oliver's secret to blackmail his billionaire father, threatening to leak evidence if Oliver doesn't cooperate. Oliver realizes he's been trapped from the start, hunted by more than just his own conscience. Meanwhile, Ciara's true identity is exposed. Her real name is Megan Martin, and she's the sister of Shane, the man who took the fall for Paul's murder while Oliver walked free. Her friendship with Oliver was never an accident. It's all part of a long-planned revenge scheme, masterminded with her confidant Shyla, who urges her to stay focused. Get the money, finish it, leave. But Ciara's feelings for Oliver are getting in the way, blurring the lines between revenge and love. In the present, detectives Lee Reardon and Carl Connolly's case hits a twist. The detectives' partnership is fraying as personal secrets spill into the investigation. Carl confronts Lee over her hidden connections to a local dealer. Still, they press on, finding crucial evidence. a silver stud earring belonging to Ciara, and a letter linking Oliver to his powerful family. With the case now tied directly to Oliver and the old murder, the detectives arrive at Paul's childhood home, where the truth behind the years-old crime refuses to stay buried. What began with a body in a bathtub now leads straight back to a boy's death, proving that every secret in this case is connected, waiting to be uncovered. 16 years ago in Narragansett, Rhode Island, everything started to unravel. Back then, Oliver St. Ledger was still using his real name. He had money that could buy anything but genuine connection. His father paid for everything but never showed real affection. Shane Martin was the opposite, poor, a chaotic home life but fiercely loyal, the kind of friend who would do anything for you. Their friendship was raw and imperfect, each filling the other's emptiness. Shane had a crush on Paul's Sparling and invited him over, despite Oliver's obvious dislike. Paul showed up full of swagger, looking for someone to hurt. He taunted Shane and crossed the line by insulting Shane's mom. That was the breaking point. Down by the river, things spiraled out of control. Paul, bigger and crueler, pinned Shane and forced him underwater. Shane was drowning. Oliver hesitated, then jumped in and pulled Paul off. Shane survived, gasping for air, but Oliver didn't stop. That moment turned to violence, maybe anger, maybe something darker. Suddenly, both boys were underwater. Paul never surfaced again. In shock, Oliver drove Shane home. He wanted to call the police and claim self-defense, but Shane stopped him. Oliver had held on too long. That changed everything. Shane told him to stay silent. At home, Shane's mom Megan saw Oliver drop Shane off and suspected something was wrong. Shane lied, saying he'd been home all night. Without realizing, Megan became his alibi. Oliver couldn't handle the guilt and confessed everything to his father, Casper. But Casper only cared about protecting their reputation. He used his wealth to shift blame onto Shane, letting Oliver walk away while Shane became the scapegoat. Shane learned the truth and confronted Oliver in a rage, trying to stab him. Oliver barely reacted. Later, alone, Oliver cut himself where the knife had nearly struck, as if punishing himself. During the trial, Megan wanted to tell the truth and tried to confide in her mother, Christy, but Christy dismissed her. Casper's influence determined the outcome. Shane was convicted for Paul's murder. Oliver fell apart. School counselor Dan Troxler promised to keep Oliver's secrets, but Casper paid him well to keep Oliver under control. The therapy became another form of manipulation, keeping Oliver dependent and weak. Years passed. Oliver wrote a confession letter to Shane, hoping for redemption. He gave it to Dan, who never delivered it. To protect his own arrangement, Dan visited Shane in prison, subtly suggesting that if Shane died before his appeal, his conviction would vanish. The idea lingered. Shane died in prison. The Martin family unraveled. Christy broke down. Shyla blamed Dan for Shane's death and confronted him. When he retaliated legally, she refused to back down. At home, Megan finally confessed to Shyla what she saw the night Paul died, consumed by guilt for her silence. Shyla told her it wouldn't have mattered. The St. Ledger fortune would have hidden the truth. That's when the idea of revenge took hold. Now in the present, detectives Lee Reardon and Carl Connolly arrive at the Martins' house, having uncovered that Ciara is actually Megan Martin. Shyla answers the door, calm but on guard, claiming she doesn't know where Megan is. Maybe she's disappeared for good. Meanwhile, on day 33 in the apartment, Oliver wakes up with sudden clarity. Ciara is Megan, Shane's sister, and the woman he's fallen for built her life around avenging her brother. Ciara finally admits the truth. She came for revenge but couldn't go through with it after seeing Oliver's pain. Her anger faded. Oliver breaks down and apologizes for everything, Shane, the lies, all of it, and finally acknowledges that Shane deserved better. Ciara hears sincerity and her anger softens. They confess their love, complicated and risky as it is. Back in the present, Lee and Carl are closing in. Then chaos erupts, a car window shatters and someone speeds away, leaving the detectives stunned. 137 days before anyone finds the body. Megan Martin is back in her childhood home, listening to her mom and Shyla argue over losing the place. It's slipping through their fingers. Shane is already gone, claimed by the past, and now the house is next in line. Megan's had enough. She digs online, tracks down Oliver St. Ledger in Boston despite his fake name, and sets her sights on him. This is the start of her scheme. She returns to her rundown Boston apartment and starts tailing Oliver from a distance, watching him in the city. She forges a work badge, rehearses her act in the mirror, every smile, every calculated vulnerability. Then, it's time. She bumps into him at the supermarket, igniting a chain of events that'll change everything. Flash forward to now. Detectives Lee Reardon and Carl Connolly have just survived a drive-by shooting. Their car torn up by bullets, but they're alive. The message is clear. Lee immediately thinks of Linus Finch, the drug dealer she's tangled with. It feels like a warning. Fear seeps in. Carl arranges for protection, Lee gets an escort home, and a squad car takes up watch outside. Back to day 34. Oliver and Ciara are eating breakfast in tense honesty, no more secrets. Paul's death, Ciara's real identity, her nearly disastrous revenge, all out in the open. It stings, but it's a relief. Suddenly, Dan Troxler shows up, banging on the door. He storms in, furious to find Ciara in Oliver's kitchen. He hates losing control. He orders her out, but she listens from the other room. Oliver finally breaks and fires him. He spills everything, years of intimidation, isolation, and manipulation by Troxler. Troxler drops the pretense, threatens to expose Oliver to the cops, and brings up a confession letter to Shane. Then he gets greedy, ranting about millions and how Oliver never deserved his freedom. Ciara steps in and knocks Troxler out with a sculpture. He collapses, convulsing, blood everywhere. They freeze as he goes still. Panic sets in. Ciara calls Shyla. Shyla is calm, she's heard this before. Years ago, Andrew Delaney vanished after stealing lobster traps. His killers dissolved him in cleaning chemicals, leaving no trace. Shyla gives instructions: stall, control the scene. Before they can act, there's a shift. Oliver gives Ciara the code to his safe and tells her to empty it. He books a private jet and asks her to take the money and documents, to see her sister one last time. Ciara meets Shyla. This time there are no secrets. Ciara reveals Oliver tried to confess, but Troxler stopped him. She says forgiveness is what finally let her heal. Shyla softens, admitting their mother would understand. No one wants Megan to end up in prison like Shane. Meanwhile, Oliver finds Elliot, who's still mourning Allison. Oliver thanks him for his support and admits Allison probably saw through him years ago. In the present, Carl sneaks into the evidence room. Lee confesses everything about Linus to their boss. Instead of punishment, the boss offers protection and asks her to keep Carl on the force. Lee negotiates. They both walk away from the case, citing conflict of interest. Freed from the case, they quietly wonder, did Megan kill Troxler? Did Oliver? Their partnership deepens. Lee asks Carl if he's staying. He says he's not leaving. On day 34, Oliver asks Elliot to drive him to the police so he can take the blame and protect Ciara. Across town, Ciara waits at the hangar, terrified Oliver won't show. He does. At the last minute, Oliver appears. He didn't confess. He chose her. He tells her about their future in an isolated luxury compound. Ciara calls it another prison. She wants something real. Later, a letter arrives at the Martin house from Ciara to her mom, explaining her forgiveness of Oliver. Enclosed is a check for $2 million. The family is stunned. Ciara writes that some people are just meant to find each other, no matter what. Quietly, Carl and Lee's colleague re-examines the evidence. He finds Linus's gold chain, implicating him in Troxler's death. Linus is arrested for the murder. Officially, the case is closed. Final scenes. Carl and Lee move on to a new crime scene, side by side, stronger than before. Oliver and Ciara begin anew on a distant tropical island. As dark clouds gather, Ciara scoops up their son, Shane, holding him tightly. They quickly pack, preparing to leave once more. Ciara kisses Oliver, her gaze fixed on whatever lies ahead. Tomorrow is full of possibility, the days beyond too.